was a laugh, wasn't it? Friday night's bloodbath at the two by-elections in Wellingborough and Kingswood. Rishi Sunak took to the Daily Telegraph yesterday to call for a unification of the British right. Conservatives unite. Stop Sir Keir Starmer making his way into number 10. But you know what I say to that? The same as Richard Tice. Get stuffed. No way in hell are we having a repeat of 2019 when the Brexit Party stood aside for Boris Johnson and handed him the keys to number 10. I say the Tories deserve electoral wipeout. The arrogance, the absolute thought that they've got a divine right to rule forever and ignore their members and adopt no Conservative policies. You're going to get what you deserve, Mr. Sunak. Albie, isn't it ironic that Rishi Sunak, your man, has come out with the begging bowl after obliteration in the by-elections on Friday night?
You know what,
it's a bit pathetic, isn't it?
I think you slightly misinterpreted what my man Rishi Sunak actually said. You know what? We're going to get up a video. Just have a look at what Rishi said earlier on yesterday.
A vote for anyone who isn't the Conservative candidate, whether that's Reform or anyone else, is just a vote to put Keir Starmer in power. That's the actual choice at the general election between me and him, between the Conservatives and Labour.
And what did we see happen in the Wellingborough and Kingswood by-election? The votes for reform were taken away from the Conservatives and Labour won. So it's exactly what I said the other week. A vote for reform is a vote for Labour, and we saw that play out in the two by-elections this week. Are you seriously saying you want to let Keir Starmer into number 10 just because you hate the Tories so much?
Yes.
By the way, sorry,
yes.
Sorry, you say the reform took Tory vote. Tory party doesn't own reform votes. It doesn't own anyone's vote. It has to earn votes. And I'd say if you want to win the election, get rid of the Liberal Democrats. I know, who are they? Where are they?
It used to be a party. I say it every week.
I mean, yes, the Liberal Democrats in your party.
Content.
No, and secondly, it's Conservative HQ that are the problem. So you can change the leader if you like of the Tory party. The vehicle remains the same. Weak, liberal and totally submissive to bad international human rights law, high taxes and open borders.
We literally saw vote for reform, get Labour.
Good. That's exactly what we want.
You're making Benjamin Bosworth happy. Are you happy?
No, you are,
I mean, look,
Albie.
I fundamentally disagree with you, Albie, because I hate this idea that you take away choice from voters. On the left, we've long had an equivalent, which is the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party. The latter is doing increasingly well, and they take votes from the Labour Party in some seats. Look, I might not like that, because I think Sir Keir Starmer will be an outstanding Prime Minister, but I disagree strongly with this progressive coalition suggestion that some on the left make, because people are entitled to have the full choice. And frankly, I think the Lib Dems and Greens are very different. I don't accept they're the same. And so actually, I think you show a lot of weakness when you try and dictate to the voter. Because I tell you what never works, politicians telling voters how to think.
I'm not telling voters how to think. I'm merely explaining what we saw earlier on this week, which was, if you are someone on the right of British politics and you vote for the Reform Party, it is going to let the Labour Party in. That is what happened in Kingswood.
I'm sorry, Albie, but
that is what happened in Wellingborough. I don't mean to. I don't care if people are upset with that.
People not
It's a
wanting the
fact.
Tories will let the Labour Party in. It's not that complicated.
The Tories have no one but themselves, Darren, to blame for not getting in power. Don't blame Reform voters. They've taken the trust of their Conservative supporters, spat on it, chewed it out, and said, "Oh, please vote for us. Please trust us this time."
Yes, there are a few points. Ed Davey, I mean, where the hell's he gone since
I was going to say, who are the Liberal Democrats?
It's like, where's Wally?
Just for the viewers' information, that's the leader of the Liberal
Democrats. Yes, exactly. Since the post office scandal, he's gone into hiding. And the second point I would make is that actually I don't think Conservative voters overwhelmingly backed reform. I think many of them just didn't come out. They just refused to vote. And that leads on to my third point. That's because they feel utterly let down. They feel that that 2019 promise, which was manifested from the 2016 promise of taking back control and everything that Brexit offered the people of this country, I think we all feel massively let down by the Conservative Party.
Did you see for the first time, well, he gave the clearest hint yet yesterday, Nigel Farage. He said he was answering a question about whether he would slither into the Conservative Party once it's all said and done and they're, crawling on their knees after annihilation. He said, you know what? You never know what will happen. Who knows whether the party could be moulded in my image or Jacob's image or Priti Patel.
I mean, at this point, Nigel Farage is doing a better tease than most OnlyFans models.
I think it is just a tease. The Conservative Party, at its core, is a complete and utter, I think, aberration. I think it's totally deserted the country. It's lied and lied and lied to us. It's not just going back on its manifesto. We'll do whatever it takes to stop the boats.
Yeah.
No, you won't, liars.
Nonsense.
You'll do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Hold us a few breadcrumbs. Stop about 2 people getting across and saying it's a win.
Albie, instead of begging Reform voters to come back with his begging bowl out, Rishi Sunak, all quite pathetic if you ask me, what about bring back Boris? Would that change the fortunes of the Tories?
Well, I will just remind you, Ben, Leo, that it was Boris Johnson who liberalised immigration rules after Brexit and let in hundreds of thousands of more people. It was Boris Johnson who married himself to this net zero stuff that you hate. It was Boris Johnson that crafted this Conservative Party, which you hate so much. So why would you want him back?
His supporters would say, let's not get bogged down in the policy. He's a funny character. He'd probably win some votes, probably more than Sunak.
Let me give you a reality check. In red wall seats like elsewhere, Wellingborough was a very Brexit seat, a very Conservative seat, and you saw the second biggest swing in post-war history from Conservative to Labour. So most Conservative voters weren't going to Reform, they were going to the Labour Party.
No, they weren't. Labour got 107 more votes than in 2019. Yes.
That's a nonsense argument. It's a nonsense argument. It's not a fact at all, because that relies on the ridiculous assumption that somehow 100% of general election Labour voters...
What have you been smoking?
Let me finish, I'm talking.
No, because you're wrong.
It relies on the assumption that 100% of Labour Party's general election voters turned out and everyone else has just fell behind, which is clearly a ridiculous hypothesis. The fact is that most of these people are going to the Labour Party, and that's what we're seeing.
No, they're not.
I would say one other thing, which is I think the Tory Party is in serious risk, because I know that Richard Tice, who I was reading in New Statesman, a magazine I'm sure you've never read, that Reform are hoping to be on 20% by summer, which is about what the Tories are on. And I think we are at a juncture, an historic juncture in British politics, where you could see the Tory party fragment and an alternative take its place.
I agree. I think political sands are shifting, and I say vote with your conscience and principles instead of rewarding failure, and you'll see the change in the country that we all need.